Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our free webinar session presented by Dynaway. Today's topic is how to streamline your operations and cut costs in Business Central with Dynaway EAM. We estimate that today's webinar will take about an hour of your time, including some time at the end for Q&A. Our webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will also receive a follow-up email after the webinar is complete with a link to the access to the presentation. So with that being said, I'd like everyone to submit their questions through the question panel during the session, and we'll try and answer as many questions as possible at the end. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to Casper Sheik Thompson, the Business Development Director at Dynaway.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for logging on and spending your time with us today. I'm really happy to be here. Before we get too much into it, I just want to introduce myself, and then I'm going to give you a little preview to what you're going to experience the next hour. I will, however, try and give you back time as much as possible, but we'll see how it goes. So, Dynaway, who are we? So basically, Dynaway has been doing enterprise asset management for more than 20 years, exclusively for Microsoft Dynamics business applications. And we're a Danish-based company, and we have departments in Denmark, of course, headquarters. We have in the US, and then we have a department in Poland as well. And as Robbie was so kind to give me a short introduction, yes, my name is Casper. I'm based out of Aalborg, the fourth largest city in Denmark, and I'm the business director for our product portfolio for Business Central. We also have another product portfolio for D365 supply chain, so what was previously known as F&O. But today is all about manufacturing. It's all about Business Central. What I'm going to go through with you today is just quickly, because I think that's important before you actually see the solution itself. I think it's important just to give you a quick introduction to what is enterprise asset management from our perspective, and then also so that's more like why should you actually implement enterprise asset management. And then we have the Dynaway advantage, as we like to call it. That's more like, why is it specifically Dynaway that's a good idea when you have Business Central? And then we are jumping straight into it and going into the live demonstration. And as Robbie mentioned, please post your questions as we go. I think we'll have a Q&A at the end. And that's pretty much it for today. I'm going to be in slide mode for the next 7 to 10 minutes, and then we are going straight into the live demonstration. First off, so what is enterprise asset management? So basically, enterprise asset management is a term that covers everything from acquiring a piece of manufacturing equipment until you retire it, dispose of it, sell it, whatever it might be. The acquire phase is often a financial exercise, which is already covered by Business Central as fixed assets, and the retire phase as well is often a financial exercise that is also covered by core finance Business Central functionality. So what is it that we do? What is it that as a management for us is? That's the two stages in between the management of your assets and the maintenance of your assets. So that's all about maximizing productive uptime and reducing maintenance costs, operating your equipment. So those two stages is of course what we're going to focus on today, and that's where we fit in, and that's where we enrich Business Central. The benefits of implementing enterprise asset management as a general solution, it's really good. If you have pen and paper now, you should see an increase in asset utilization, because you will be able to be more precise with your preventive maintenance planning. You will be able to execute corrective maintenance a lot quicker. When you're better at the stuff like preventive maintenance, that often also leads to a longer asset lifetime, so that you get more return on equipment over time. The boost productivity is, of course, because you have more productive uptime, asset utilization, but also because productivity in your maintenance team. You'll actually be able to schedule your work a lot faster and more agile by drag and drop and seeing when is the best time to do this maintenance. Also aligning that with the production team as well, because you all will be in one system. And reduce maintenance costs. There's a lot of process overhead. I'll just touch on that a little in a few minutes. But reduction of maintenance cost is a big one. It's by digitizing those processes, and your maintenance operations should really come with a significant reduction. Also, when you digitize, of course, it gets easier to be compliant. I know many of you within manufacturing have some regulations that you need to live up to. That could be sporadic audits and so on that you need to provide documentation for. And by digitizing it, all of your activities, all work orders, replacing of parts, what did we use, how much time, what did we actually do with this machine at this specific date, and so on and so forth, will all be logged and tracked. We also see fewer safety incidents, because when you have it digital and you have much more possibility of putting more functionality than you have on a piece of paper, for example. So we also have some safety measures that you can deploy straight in the solution. And now we're going into then why is Dynaway a good idea? Because I think we've established there's some benefits in using enterprise asset management in general, but why is Dynaway then a good solution for you guys? Well, I'm here speaking in front of you guys today because you're in manufacturing, you're using Business Central. What we do is creating enterprise asset management exclusively for Business Central. That means we are not a standalone that stands next to Business Central and integrate into Business Central. No, we are Business Central, and you will see that in the live demonstration. And as mentioned before, we have a lot of different capabilities. The Dynaway advantage now that I've mentioned that we are inside as a true extension to Business Central, just adding more functionality to Business Central. The benefits, or let's say the advantages of using Dynaway, is that you leverage Business Central. We leverage Business Central for advanced features. So that means we're just standing on the shoulders of giants, meaning Microsoft. So whenever Microsoft is creating a cool new feature for Business Central, it's automatically also available to use with your Dynaway functionality. An example could be an analyze function that they put on all lists, and that's of course also possible when you look at your asset list or your work order list and so on and so forth. We're also compatible with the rest of the adjacent Microsoft technologies that you want to use or might already using. We have a suite of Power Apps. We have a product in Power BI that you can just click on, and then you have a suite of reports and a data model that you can work with, and all of those good stuff, Power Automate you can use, and all of that. The most important one is the middle one, the unified platform, because the unified platform means that instead of having a pen and paper where you bring, let's say, 50 work orders on paper to your finance department, inventory department, procurement department to say, please inventory, can you please adjust the quantity and value of the inventory? And then there's a lot of back and forth in terms of is it the right SKU that they wrote? They couldn't really read what they wrote. So that's one of them. Procurement as well can take a lot of time, managing the communication between the maintenance team and the procurement, often by phone. Using Dynaway, because we're already integrated seamlessly or connected seamlessly into their existing processes, everything happens automatic. When you close a work order, it automatically adjusts inventory. It automatically attributes cost at the right ledgers. It automatically does everything in the background for finance, inventory, and so on. And procurement can be done straight directly from the work order, but you can also use the requisition worksheet so you can forecast for the next 6 months. I need all of these spare parts in relation to my maintenance, and create it and convert it into a purchase order. So you'll never stand and not be able to do your maintenance because stock isn't at hand. And of course, that seamlessly connected universe that it will be significantly reduces cost. Usually we see there'll be around 20 steps in completing one work order if you use pen and paper, or if you use a standalone, an EAM system outside of Business Central. When you build your maintenance operations into your ERP for the reasons I just mentioned, it usually is more like 3 to 5 steps, and usually it's only the maintenance that are required in order to complete a work order, and not having to involve inventory, finance, and so on. The last thing is probably more for the IT managers out there. Again, no separate infrastructure, simple upgrading process, going to the extension management, clicking upgrade, all users in the same platform. You are able to help your users. It's easier for your organization to adopt because they already have you as super users to guide them. Our solution behaves exactly like Business Central. And I think that concludes my initial part of the presentation. I promised you 10 minutes, and I think I stayed within that. So now we are getting to the fun part, which is actually seeing it in action. So we're going to the live demonstration. Just a disclaimer before we start. Of course, demo data is always an issue. It is also here not a big issue, but of course, a real live solution would be much more populated with data. Another disclaimer is I do want to give you back time today, so I'm trying to just hone in on the most important features that I would assume that you're looking for seeing today, and then skipping, I'm not skipping, but just lightly skipping across some of the other processes. So I'm gonna choose some processes to emphasize and some just to quickly just show you. But I have a script, don't worry. And that script is the slide that you see now. So basically, the core maintenance processes that I'm going to show you today is the asset management piece. So asset management for us is all about organizing your assets, being able to find your assets, holding information and accessing information about your assets, reviewing your assets, and so on and so forth. Then the next step, which is the maintenance planning. So that is the one I'm going to really demonstrate. We're going to skip the asset management part a little bit lightly. Of course, if there's anything you see today that you want a deep dive on, we're more than happy to do so. Just reach out to the team at Sabre. The maintenance planning, however, is really, really important. And I really want to emphasize that today because that's creating the work orders, creating the work order plans. You might call them maintenance schedules, maintenance plans. And that comes in two forms in our software: corrective maintenance and as preventive maintenance. Corrective maintenance is when you have a maintenance request that you need to create a work order based on, or if there's an incident and you just want to create a work order straight away. Preventive maintenance could be calendar-based every 2 weeks, could be usage-based every 200 running hours of your equipment. And the last one could be condition-based if you have any IoT sensors or in general, any external data parameters you want to trigger a work order, then those options are for you. Then I'm going to emphasize also the work scheduling, because when being in manufacturing, we know that aligning manufacturing or your production with when can you do maintenance and when do you have some planned maintenance time, that is a big deal and will be able to save a lot of headaches and of course increase your ability to fulfill customer orders. The work order execution is also very important because usually that's the maintenance workers executing the work orders. So I'm going to show you from a mobile point of view, from a tablet and from a phone, how you can do that using Dynaway. So those three in the middle here is what I'm going to emphasize today. What I'm going to skip, as mentioned, was the asset management and then also the maintenance review. Of course, I'll tell you more about it. Maintenance review, for example, is how do you review at the end? How do I review what has happened? How do I report? How do I analyze? And so on and so forth. But that's the plan for today. So let's just kick it off. And I see there's no questions so far, but please, again, post your questions in the Q&A. Corrective maintenance. The normal route, for example, if there's a request, that would be to submit a work order request. That work order request can be submitted either by phone. It could be submitted by through a laptop, through a desktop. And for you manufacturers, you can actually do it directly from the work center or the machine center, or even from the production order itself, submit a request. So the requester can be anyone. Doesn't have to be a user of Dynaway. It could be anyone. The next thing is that the maintenance planner then will review the work order request, perhaps even communicate a little bit with the maintenance requester saying, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Before rejecting or accepting the work order request, saying, okay, we'll actually create a work order. However, if it's an incident, you probably just want to create a work order straight away. What I'm going to show you today is the complete flow here, which is first submitting a work order request. So switching to Business Central here, and I assume that all of you are familiar with Business Central, so I'm not going to spend time on describing what you have here, other than saying that, of course, you have your queues that are relevant. In this case, I'm only showing Dynaway features, so all of the standard Business Central has been tucked away, just to show you what you can expect from Dynaway. So creating a maintenance request, you can either do it from the desktop here, usually where the maintenance planner will be, either from this tab here, request, you can have a action here, or you can do it from your asset. And your assets comes in two, let's say three ways of finding them. First one is the assets list. So a list as you're probably used to. You can have your filters and all of that you're used to. And then we have what's specific to Dynaway is the multi-level structure, the asset tree, where you can organize all of your assets as you please. So for example, in this case, I'm a food manufacturer and I have some planetary mixers here. So for example, this is my planetary mixers at hall 1. So a combination between my equipment category and my location. And at this, I see I have 4 individual planetary mixers, and these individual planetary mixers have subcomponents. Each of these assets can be linked to a fixed asset. So fixed asset and a maintenance asset in Dynaway is 2 completely separate things, 2 different objects. The reason for that is you might want to link the planetary mixer at this level to the fixed asset, because the fixed asset is usually a more aggregated level, whereas the maintenance team usually needs a more granular level because they need to see the subcomponents of that fixed asset. So that's just about linking them, and you can do that easily. But back to why we were here. So to show you where from you can create a request, you can just right click here, and you can create or register a maintenance request. The way I'm going to show you now is going to be from the work center. Just imagining that I'm a machine operator. I'm looking at my work center. So when I implement Dynaway, I all of a sudden get some new options on the work center card. So here I have create maintenance request, which allows me to quickly create one, saying, hear a noise. And of course, these request types is something that you can configure once you set up Dynaway. Makes a weird noise. Create request. And I can put in some details if I want, upload a picture or file. Click finish. And now I should see on my role center here that I have a new request. Makes a weird noise. So that's one way of getting a maintenance request directly to the maintenance team. The other way is using our Power App, which is switch it to a mobile view. Something like this. Our Power App that can be downloaded on any mobile device. You can create your maintenance request. You can even use the barcode scanner to identify the asset you're standing at, or you can search. Let's just do whatever. Let's do A000. Oh, it actually doesn't matter. Let me just pick one. And then it looks like this, like you saw before. I can choose a request type, noise, description, makes a weird noise. This, however, this Power App isn't connected to that environment that I'm demoing, so it won't create another one in that. But it's just to show you that you can also do it from a mobile in a very, very simple Power App. And of course, you can view and interact with your maintenance request from this Power App as well. Going back to, I should actually probably clarify. So we have 3 different, let's say, clients. We have this desktop client, we have our Power Apps, and then we have the standard mobile Business Central app. And I'm going to show that when we go to the work order execution. But those are the options that we have. So going back here, just as a maintenance planner. So someone has submitted a request either through the work center because I'm a machine operator, or because I passed it and used the Power App to submit the request. So as a maintenance planner, I might want to go and review my new requests here. Just gonna click. And from here, of course, I'll be able to add a comment saying, I will never help you. And then the requester will be notified saying there's a new comment on the request, and they can answer to that. I could also be a little bit more helpful and say, okay, I will have someone inspect it ASAP. Click modify, and then I determined I want to create a work order. I'm just creating a work order. Inspect for weird noises. And I choose a category code. It's just a general inspection. I can add checklists or not. I'm just going to create the work order. And I can put in some more details. Usually it just needs to be banged on the head a few times. And then I can upload file, take picture, finish, and open. So right now I'm just going to finish, click finish, and then I'll open it to show you the work order afterwards. Click finish. So now the actual work order has been created, and now I might want to change the status of the maintenance request into in progress. And then going to the next one. Lamp is not on. So that's how you can manage your requests. So let's go to my work orders. And I'm just quickly gonna see today's work orders. Inspect for weird noises. So that's the one I just created. And just to show you how a work order looks like, I'm gonna get more in details with that. But here you can see how it looks like. You can put in the instructions that's brought with it. You can now assign it to someone, for example, saying it needs to be an inspection, and you can have someone in the background whenever there's an inspection. It should be 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 people, or whatever it might be. So all that resource allocation can be automated with Dynaway, or you can just put in the actual name. I want it to be Martin Woods, and that's basically it. I'm gonna get much more in detail with this, but that's the work order for you. And that was the flow for the request. However, again, as you saw probably before, if I wanted to, I could just right-click, just as I registered a request. I can just create a work order directly from here. So that was the quick walkthrough of that. The next process I'm going to show you is some of the preventive options we have. So there are, as mentioned, 3 primary options. That's based on calendar, every week or every 2 weeks. Every week or every 2 weeks, we have an inspection or whatever it might be, electrical inspection and whatnot, cleaning, deep cleaning, or whatever it might be. And then that could be usage-based, which could be the same, but depending on runtime or whatever it might be. And how that works is that, of course, you configure a work order plan. You configure it with a frequency, what needs to trigger that work order plan. And then, of course, when it's configured, you will wait until that event triggers the work order plan. But it does not create a work order automatically. It creates a work order proposal. You can eliminate that step to just automatically create a work order, but we used to say that we want the maintenance managers to look at the work order proposals every morning, for example, through what we call a planning worksheet, and then accept the ones that they want and perhaps postpone some of the others. So then they accept through this planning worksheet and then create the work orders. And that at that point, the work orders will be created. The third option we have is the condition-based, which could be IoT sensors, it could be any external data parameter. But again, you configure that work order plan with the trigger and await that event triggers a work order plan. It could be humidity, vibration, temperature. It might be you have a predictive data model created somewhere that needs to output some data that can trigger this work order plan. And here it is already made so that it's not proposing a work order, it's actually just creating it, because when it's condition-based, we know we need to do something because certain conditions have been met or certain criteria have been met. And now I'm going to show you how a calendar-based and a usage-based maintenance plan works, because those are the absolutely most used. I also see that I have a question in the question section, and it says if we are going to see any asset management reporting or dashboards. No, you are not going to see it. I'm going to talk about it, but we have both Power BI reports and Excel reports. I will be able to show you some of the Excel reports. The Power BI reports that we've just launched, I think was actually in this week that we launched it, so I don't have demo access to it yet, but I will be sure to reach out to you afterwards so you can have a really good look at it. So let's go into demo mode again, and please keep asking questions. I'm speeding a little bit, but I want to make sure that everything comes, that you get everything that I promised you. So how does a work order plan look like? I'm going to go to one of our assets again. I'm going to look at the work order plans because I pre-prepared some for you here. So I have a weekly inspection and a replace cage bumper. So let's start with the weekly inspection and see how a work order plan actually looks like. So it looks almost identical to a work order. So basically a work order plan is just configuring the work order that is going to be triggered. So what you have here is you need to put in a description of the work order plan, of course, the category code, so on and so forth. Released means that it is active. I can reopen it and then start editing it. You can see I've also added some checklists that needs to follow this work order plan. And just to give you a short preview here, these are very simple ones. So before I start working, I need to clean the workstation and so on and so forth. So the maintenance worker won't be able to change the work order status before they've submitted that checklist, and they won't be able to complete it before they've completed the one after work. These checklists can be 100% customized. It could be multiple choice. It could be large text boxes. That could be videos, pictures. You know, some of our customers have simple ones like this. Someone has checklists with hundreds of questions and so on and so forth. It's also possible to use Dynaway for putting in risk assessments. That means that the maintenance worker will be alerted saying there are these hazards when working with this asset. These are the precautions you need to take. Or you can take it a step further and add a work permit template, meaning that needs to be, they need to submit a work permit that needs to be approved by a manager before they can start working on the work order. You also have, of course, an instruction field here for free text. What differs between a work order plan and a work order is the frequencies. So this is where you have the options to do the counter, which is the usage-based, the calendar, which I'm showing you now, and then the measurement, which is the condition-based option. Sequence is layering your work order plans, meaning that, for example, if I had a, your private cars, every 20,000 miles it needs to be serviced, but every 60,000 miles it needs to get a big service. So how does the system know that every 20,000 it needs to trigger a small service, but when they hit 60,000 it needs to trigger a big one? That's what you use the sequence option for. The work order is when you want to layer work orders based on when you complete a work order, this has to trigger another work order. But for here, I just choose the calendar version option. You can click here and see all the options that you have. And I'd set it to be every week on every Friday. It's grayed out because I'm not in edit mode. So it recurs on every Friday. And I have already predefined that it needs to be assigned to Martin Woods. And I expect him to use 2 hours. If I wanted to, I could also put in a parts list here, what I expect him to use, and estimated quantity. And these items are from the BC inventory. So that's why, so all the good stuff that you get working with inventory in Business Central also applies to your spare parts. First in, first out, maximum quantities, safety quantity, and all of that good stuff can be done right from here. What you also have is additional parameters. You can create downtime, and this is very, very cool, especially when you are a manufacturer, because every time we trigger a work order, it also creates a downtime registration, as we call it, and you can specify it here, for example. And production on hold means it actually will create a, let's say, a phantom production order in your manufacturing system, so that the production team will be able to see that there are some planned maintenance at that time in relation to a weekly inspection, so that when they are planning their production orders, they can see that it's not available in this time zone or in this time frame. You can also manage the asset status and so on from here. So that was the work order plans. Just going to show you how it looks when it's based on a counter, so usage based. Again, looks exactly the same, but this time I used the frequency type counter, and I said that every 40 runtime hours it needs to trigger. And this work order plan is a replace cage bumper. So I already added the item called cage bumper and one piece of it, and it's Martin Woods that needs to do it, and I estimated 4 hours. So that is how that looks, and let's now go to the planning worksheet, which is the next step. So imagining that we are maintenance planner going in the morning, want to take in calculate plan to see what the system suggests that we must do today and in the future. You can see here it suggests that I need to do the replace the cage bumper, because apparently this asset has hit 40 hours of runtime. And because with Dynaway you can connect the asset to the work center, it is actually possible to automatically update these counters, like the runtime, based on the production orders. You can also manually register these counter values, or you can automate it through an API if you have it from somewhere else. But in this case, I have it linked to our work center or machine center, and then based on the production order, it has now triggered because there's been more than 40 runtime hours. So based from this planning worksheet, I can either put it for another date, but I want to do it today. Then I'm just marking it and saying carry out action message, meaning I'm accepting this work order. could accept all of them in one go or just a few of them by doing so. So for example, doing the cleaning, let's do that today. And now I'll click carry out action mission, and it should tell me that I've created 2 new work orders. So until this step, it hasn't been a work order. You can mitigate this step, but it's not something we always recommend, but you can align it to your process. So that's how that works. The next step here is to schedule the work. So review your scheduling boards, which is our graphic boards where you can schedule the work or reschedule the work, and that's some really cool features for manufacturers as well in here. So as you see, now I came back, it's created 2 work orders. Let us just have a look here if it hasn't done so. I'm just going to my work orders, going to view today's work orders, and here you see the replace cage bumper and the daily cleaning. What I wanted to show you now was the scheduling board. So you have 2 scheduling boards, resource scheduling boards and an asset activity board. Let me show you the resource scheduling board first. So what this is basically let's say calendar view of all the activities on your resources. As you can see here, it's by date. You can zoom in, zoom out as much as you want. Let me just click today, so it kind of zooms in on today. And on the left-hand side, I see that I have some unassigned work orders that I can assign by just drag and drop. I can also move it move it closer or move it further away by drag and drop, and it changes the work order. If you hover over it, you can get the information as you see here. So this is really, really cool because it's a quick way of quickly assigning your work orders or reassigning them, if you will. Of course, there's a ton of options here how you can view this. I'm not going to go through everything, but just going to highlight a few of the features in this. For example, the capacities, where you can manage, and you can see here, for example, Evangelina Hallett, she's overbooked on this day, so perhaps I need to choose a resource that has more time. Perhaps Duffy Fursey, who has time, so that is being moved like that. I'm also able to see my future work orders. So again, the work orders that hasn't been accepted yet, but that we expect based on our work order plans. So you can also see in the future when are we going to be overbooked. So that's really, really cool. And of course, you can customize this view completely. So for example, if you want all cleaning tasks to be blue, then they are blue. If you want all inspections to be another color, then you do that, and so on and so forth. That was the resource scheduling board. And then we have the asset activity board. What I wanted to focus on here, because on the left-hand side is where you have your assets instead of your resource. So if I'm just gonna zoom in on, let's say this week here, so you can see on this date, the January the 15th, I have this work order that I need to execute on that day, and I've created downtime for that to happen at this point in time. But I also see from the manufacturing module that we have these production orders. So I might want to move that to another time. For example, maybe I want to move it a little bit earlier, so between 5 and 6 instead. And then I can accommodate for the production orders. So that is how both we can see the production orders, but also the production team can see the planned maintenance, because this planned maintenance block here, downtime, will create a phantom production order. It's of course, it's up to you how you want to see this. Again, there's a lot of different ways that you can see this. Again, downtime simulations, just as we saw the work orders that hasn't materialized yet, you can also see the downtimes that hadn't materialized yet. So that is the work scheduling. Now moving to the work order execution. So now I'm switching hats and going from being a maintenance planner, going to be a maintenance worker. So being out there on the shop floor, actually completing these work orders. You know, many times the roles is one and the same person, but for the demo sake, you know, I usually split it out. But what we're going to do now is just imagine we're coming into work. We need to find the work orders we need to start working on. We need to be able to, you know, register what work we've done. We need to register the consumption, you know, the labor, the material, other expenses, and so on, and then report the work order as completed. Then I'm going to put back on my maintenance planner hat, because we have a step that says the maintenance workers can report it as completed, and then a maintenance planner will have to review, perhaps correct the work order. If, for example, they put in, I used 111 of these spare parts, and actually it should just have said 1 before posting and closing the work order, because posting and closing means that we are posting the consumption to finance, to inventory, and so on and so forth, and closing it meaning that we are closing the work order and cannot be reopened. And all of the brown steps of the maintenance worker here, we're going to show you on as if it was a mobile device. If it's one and the same person doing all of these steps, then of course they probably would not report it as completed, but would just post and close it once they're done. But I'm going to show you the full one today. So let's go back here. First off, I'm not going to show you through this, but just to mention, we also have a Power App for this. If you're using a phone, again, the Power Apps are very, very limited to that functionality of completing a work order or creating a work order. So again, just as before, really, really easy. You can scan the barcodes on the asset, or just choose it from the list, and then you do create a work order as I showed you in the desktop client: description, category code, priority codes, and all the things that needs to be filled in. Just to show you and mention that we have something even simpler and even more intuitive should you need it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you as if it was a tablet and from the standard Business Central mobile app. So just forgive me for 1 second. I'm just going to allow myself to switch profile here and then go into a tablet view. I know this doesn't demo really well, but this I need to go through these steps in order to show you. So here we are. So as if it was a Service Pro. Of course, you probably already know how it works, but here's how it looks using Dynaway in the mobile app. And when I come in, I log in, and I want to see which work orders are assigned to me. You know, I have it both on a list, but I also have it on my queues up here. I even have it here that which work orders are unassigned, so that I can actually start assigning them to me. I don't know why it didn't load, but yeah, I also have access to my assets from here if I want to investigate the assets or change the assets. I have the assets tree, my work order list, full list, what work orders I have done and request, and so on. But let me click the assign to me, and then for example, I can do it by date, and I see the replace cage bumper here. So now I'm going to start working on it. So I just click here, and as you see, immediately I get some notifications. I actually do not have any available inventory for this part. So I can either myself create a purchase order directly from this worker, directly from here on this line, or I can you know, change the status into waiting and put a waiting reason saying waiting for stock, so someone would be alerted in procurement who will then go visit the work order and create the proper purchase order directly from here. And of course, you can set it so that it will be automatically consumed upon receipt. However, it also says that I need to fill in the before work checklist and the after work checklist. So just notifying me that I have something that I need to do. So right now I won't be able to put it into ready or into in progress before completing the before work. So let's start by preparing the work. Like this, I've cleaned the workstation, turned off the machine, and done everything it asked me to do. Submit it. So now I've captured that data. And that'll be, for later audits, I can show that the person did what it says. Now I can put it into progress, and I might have a big checklist during work for replacing this part, or a lot of instructions to look at, and so on during the work, whatever I need to do. Putting in, I actually used 8 hours on it. And then going further, saying, oh shit, I actually used 2 because I dropped one of them that actually got a scratch on it, so I opted in to use another one. I can also add other expenses, which is pretty much anything else that's not labor and material. So that could be hotels, third-party contractors, could be, and we integrate, of course, with vendors. So it's just adding a vendor, for example. Let's do an example here. I know that we've used a contractor, and it is clean it because they came in and helped me with some cleaning after I dropped that cage bumper, for example. So I put in quantity 1 hour, and I already know because we are integrated with vendors that how much this is worth. So the cost again will be automatically attributed. In terms of purchasing, I already mentioned you can do it straight from here, but you can also use the requisition worksheet where procurement can go in and see what do we need to purchase in the next 30 days, or what do we need to purchase in the next 60 days, or whatever period, and see all of that and convert it into a purchase order. So you will never have to lack or have some downtime due to not having stock on hand. And that's basically what I need to do now. So now I just need to do my after work checklist, check if the clean, turn on the machine, inform the operator, and submit. And now I'm ready to put it into completed. It's also possible if I find, for example, a defect, I can create a defect directly from here. I can create a follow-up work order as well, if necessary, if I find out that I cannot solve it, or I need someone else to come in and do something else before the problem will be fixed. But the asset defects is also really, really cool, but I don't have time to show you today. So of course, also possible to take pictures and upload documentation if you need to the work order. So that's how I created that. I completed that. So let's just go back to the normal view again. And I know this was the very simplified way of showing you, but be more than happy to go into details with it. Just going to switch back to my manager profile. So now as a manager, perhaps at the end of the day or a few times during the day, I don't know what your frequency is, but you can go to your work orders, review what has been completed. What do I need to review before going home? So now I see the one that I just, someone just completed. And then I can review it and actually say, okay, it says 2 here, that's weird. And I don't see any remarks or anything like that, or added remarks up here. So I'm gonna call him and ask why it was 2. And then he says, oh, it's actually correct. Okay. And reviewing everything, it looks good. And then I'll just post and close. Post means that the consumption, post the consumption, and close meaning closing the work order. You can also just post what has been used so far, and then you can keep working on the work order. For example, if you will need to post it for month close or whatever it might be, and you can just close it without posting the consumption as well. I'm just going to close it. So that's basically how it works. And now it prompted me to put in some counter. That's a setting that I did wrong. So that's the flow. Now I do have a bit of time left. So since I got the question, if we're going to see some dashboards or some reporting, I'll be able to do a little bit of that. And there's also another question saying, can you change the colors on the WO, which is the work order? And I assume that must have been in relation to the asset activity board or the resource scheduling board. And the answer is yes. You can completely customize that based on asset category, could be on work type category, and so on and so forth, to make it easier. Reporting wise, to finish that off, so basically, let me just go back here. Based on what you see on the screen here, so we have a lot of different opportunities. Of course, all ledger entries are saved, and you have access to those lists directly from Business Central. You have access to all the posted work orders. You have access to asset statistics, consumption control. We have some canned Excel reporting out of the box that you can use, and then we also now have Power BI reporting, and I'll be able to show you that at a later stage. But just to show you some of the other options that we have, and remember, all of the data that you've seen is available in the Power BI reporting. So the Power BI reports will come with a set of standard reports, but of course the data model is also in there, so you can just create your own reports. First off, let's go to an asset. Again, I don't know why. I think that's force of habit, but I'm always going through the asset tree. Let's go to whatever asset here. And going to history. So as I told you before, you have your maintenance log, and the maintenance log is what shows the entire asset lifecycle. So you can create a report on the entire asset lifecycle. Really good for compliance, for example. It logs every time you change the condition, the asset changes, the asset status changes, location changes, whatever goes on with the asset. On here, you can also define what data it should capture, what transaction it should register. That's the maintenance log. You also have your asset statistics, and this is also available directly from the fixed asset card. So the finance team can also see how much are we spending on corrective maintenance, how much on preventive maintenance, how much is expenses, how much is time, how much is material, and so on and so forth. So you have everything captured here. Ledger entries is everything that has been everything that we have consumed, basically, work orders that has been done in relation to work orders, sorry. And then we have all the work orders that has been completed or posted in this here. And again, a little bit of lack of data. What I also have at the beginning here is my reports. So let's do, for example, this one, consumption on work orders. Let's do download. And no data in here, but as you can see, these are just some predefined reports, cost per maintenance type, cost per work order category, cost per asset category, so on and so forth. How do we spend the time, and so on and so forth. But what's important here is the data. So basically, it's just based on this data. So because this is going out with it, you can of course create your own reports or cut them or customize them however you want. But there isn't there is a journal or ledger entry for everything. So all the data that are in here is available for reporting. And to make sure that we don't go over time, because I think that's a deadly sin when doing webinars, the last thing I'm gonna say is, please reach out to Sabre, because you can test this out. It's really easy. You can install it directly from Microsoft App Source. You can set it up using the in-product assisted setup guides. we'll also be more than happy to help you. And there's actually a free forever starter license that you can register for when you install it, meaning that you can actually use it and set it up and use it for free. It is limited on the maximum number of 2 users, so you'll get 2 users for free, and you can create up to 125 assets. So that's the limitation. If you need to exceed that, then talk to Saber, then you need the paid version. Training, also we have a lot of online resources that I think you should visit. We both have a presence on YouTube where we have some really cool playlists. On our website, we have videos as well. We have something called a feature page where you can read more about all of our features and seeing small videos of it. We have a universe called Dynaway Help, which you can find on help.dynaway.com, where our solution is completely and extensively documented. And I think that's it for now. In case we're going to share this presentation with you, then we've put in the link so you can access the different things you see here. Dynaway Help, the product roadmap, how you can sign up for newsletter, and how you can follow us on LinkedIn. Especially if you want to keep tabs on us, I really would like to emphasize signing up for a newsletter and follow us on LinkedIn. And I think that's the words from me today. So thank you very much for watching. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me, reach out to our product support. But first and foremost, it's very important to keep Saber in the loop. So reach out to your designated account manager or contact at Saber. Robbie, I don't know if you will have any final remarks.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the insight, Casper. This was a fantastic webinar, very insightful. I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and I'd like to thank you for presenting once again today. I hope you all have a great day, and we hope to see you again at one of our upcoming webinars.